Hello and welcome to After Sound Review, where this time I will review this flagship from Audiosense, and this is the Audiosense AQ7, where it uses one dynamic driver and 6 balancer measure. And for me, might be the biggest Audiosense I've ever seen. You can see how big the housing is, how fat the housing is. Okay, just like usual, I will review them from the build, fit, sound, and comparison. Straight from the build itself, this is just like I said, might be the biggest Audiosense product ever. This is very fat and thick, and it is made of resin, and you can see the faceplate is very unique. You can see there's some kind of silver stain or silver web. It's quite unique, but actually behind that silver web, the faceplate is actually transparent. And then you get this unique vent around the upper side of the housing, and it's a very thick nozzle here. It is made of metal, and actually for me this thick nozzle is not really comfortable and quite hard sometimes to put the ear tips on it because of how thick and fat the nozzle is. And then it used the MMCX connection and using this 4-core braided cable on the upper side, and the lower side is 8-core braided. And when it comes to the fit, for my small Asian ears, I don't feel any discomfort from the housing itself, but I do feel slight discomfort thanks to the stiffness of this ear guide. You could see how stiff the ear guide is, and the loop side, the arc of this ear guide is actually way past beyond my ear itself. Okay, and then when it comes to the sound, I will use my i-Fi XDSD here, QDLX 5K, i-Fi, X-Duo X10, and also iBasso the X160. And here are the songs. I could simply categorize the frequency response of this Audiosense AQ7 is mid-centric with bass boost. So yeah, the elevation mainly is on the mid-range around this part around the 1 to 3 kilohertz, and then there's the bass boost around this here area. And then how is it compared to the Moondrop S8? As you know that Moondrop S8 is one of the Harman curved IM, and for me Moondrop S8 is more focused in the upper mid-range rather than the mid-range like the Audiosense AQ7. The Moondrop S8 upper mid-range is more focused around the 3 kHz, and the treble itself is more extended, while the bass is not as boosted, especially in the sub-bass is not as boosted as the AQ7. And this is comparison to the Dunu SA6. For me, the Dunu SA6 sounds the most balanced of all. It's the upper mid-range is not as shouty as the Moondrop S8. But it's not as focused also as the AQ7. It's just more moderate in this area. And then the bass itself is not as boosted again as the AQ7. Okay, so like I said, the AQ7 can be considered, I could consider them to be simply mid-focused with bass boost. Okay, so overall the tonality of this Audiosense AQ7 feels mid-centric to me. It definitely reflects on the frequency response itself. The main area, the main highlight of this IM is the elevation in the mid-range area. When it comes to the bass itself, it doesn't really emphasize there. You definitely still get some sub-bass presence there, but you don't really get that thumping bass, that punch in the bass that will give some fun to the song like pop songs or EDM. You won't get that fun factor from the bass itself. But speaking for the quality itself, is actually quite good because it could go deep. It is fast, but it's just not fun for me. And when it comes to the mid-range, I think this is a hit or miss. So it really depends on your source, depends on what kind of songs are you listening, and depends on your ear sensitivity. Because for me, it's just quite strange. But please take note, It is because my preference for IM's tonality is definitely Harman natural or diffuse field. I am like Athematic ER4SR. And for me, this I am just simply the vocal for either male or female vocal. Male or female vocal sounds not really natural for my ears. It just sounds like they just had a cold or something. So it's a little bit wonky. Maybe you will hear like when people saying things like this, or when people sing in this kind of condition. So that's exactly what I hear. But yes, it depends on your personal preference. It is definitely warm. It's not sibilant. It's not harsh, but simply it's just have some wonkiness, strange warmthness to it for my ears. It's just not really recommended for those who want some clear vocal and sweet and airy vocal. You just don't get that in this IM. And then when it comes to the treble itself, I don't think this is also good IM for those treble heads. It doesn't go extended over the frequencies. It just roll off too quickly, so you don't get that cymbal crash energy. You don't get extension and bite from the violins like the La Campanera or La Primavera. You just don't get that shimmering treble there. So the tonality itself is definitely more towards the mid-range itself, but nevertheless, for me, it sounds really strange. Even though I hear Josh Groban, Il Divo, I hear Joyce Chu, I hear Celine Dion, I hear Adele, they never sound natural for my ears. They always sound like a bit wonky like this. And then, actually, for the technical distance itself, I think that it is quite good. I'm not saying it's bad. The technical distance is actually quite good in the separation area, or the soundstage itself is actually big with some 3Dness to it, and the separation is also good, and the imaging is also a bit I don't think that's a really good IM for imaging, but the separation is just simply good. But because of that not punchy bass and not really extended treble, it is not really recommended for those who like music like orchestra or soundtrack or movie soundtrack. It's just not fun. It's just not something enough for that kind of music. But the separation itself is actually quite good. And how is it compared to the IMs around its price range? I'm sorry, actually right now I don't really have IM at its price range, but I have some cheaper IM like Tantium Oxygen and a bit more expensive IM, the Moondrop S8. And yeah, these two IMs like the Oxygen and the Moondrop S8 definitely have, for me, subjectively speaking, they have better tonality because they follow the Harman response curve. The Oxygen itself is really good. It has better bass punch than this AQ7. It has also more balanced mid-range and also more airy mid-range, especially for female vocal, and a little bit more bite in the treble. But the separation itself is not as good as the AQ7. But the tonality is definitely more balanced for me in this Oxygen. And when it comes to the Moondrop S8, it's definitely, subjectively speaking, Moondrop S8 is my personal favorite IM. The tonality is just spot on with very good separation. And yeah, I don't think that AQ7 for my ears have something better than the S8. The separation is better in the S8, the overall technical imaging and separation is definitely better in the S8, and tonality is way better in S8. The Harman curve in S8 is just, for me, it's just really good. Especially when it comes to the vocal itself, it's just 100% match my vocal preference. Okay, that's it for today's review. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any question, please write down in the comments below. Thank you and see you again next time. Bye bye.